Top 2 bands Quincy Jones hated. Quincy Jones is renowned as a composer and record producer, having worked with iconic musicians like Frank Sinatra, Michael Jackson, Celine Dion, and Aretha Franklin. His impact on music is vast, spanning over 6 decades, and his influence can be seen in his 28 Grammy Awards and his contributions to various artistic mediums. Known for his innovation, collaboration, and genre blending, Jones has shaped the sound of modern music, solidifying his place as a living legend. Jones isn't just any producer, he's the creative force behind Michael Jackson's Thriller and Off the Wall, has collaborated with jazz greats like Ray Charles, and has explored multiple genres, from jazz and pop to R&B and film scores. His versatility and musical genius, combined with his ability to work with artists across generations, have made him one of the most influential figures in the music industry. One of his lasting legacies is his skill in effortlessly blending different musical genres. Beyond music, he has contributed to philanthropy by founding the Quincy Jones Foundation to support global humanitarian efforts. With such an illustrious career, it's no surprise that Jones has strong opinions about other bands, and he's never been shy about expressing them. Here are 2 bands. The Beatles. The Beatles are often hailed as one of the greatest bands of all time, with an undeniable influence on pop and rock music. However, Quincy Jones had some harsh words for them. His criticism wasn't aimed at the Beatles' cultural significance, but rather at their technical abilities as musicians. According to Jones, none of the Beatles were technically proficient. Paul McCartney, while naturally gifted, wasn't at a professional level, and none of the band members could read or write music. John Lennon even admitted this in a 1980 Playboy interview, acknowledging that they were not technically skilled musicians like Quincy, who was a serious composer. Jones' negative view of the band may have been influenced by a frustrating recording session with Ringo Starr. During the session, Ringo struggled with a rhythm that Jones considered simple, leading Jones to bring in another drummer to complete the part while Ringo took a break. Quincy Jones made headlines in 2018 when he referred to the Beatles as lousy musicians. However, he later clarified that his intention wasn't to undermine their impact on music, but rather to point out that their strengths were in songwriting and creativity, not technical musicianship. Jones also shared his first impression of the band, calling them the worst musicians in the world and recounting an incident in the studio where Ringo had trouble with a part, leading Jones to have a jazz drummer step in. Ringo, upon hearing the playback, thought it sounded better, to which Jones quipped, "Yeah, because it wasn't you." Despite this, Jones still regarded Ringo as a great guy. U2. U2, the iconic Irish rock band, dominated the 80s and 90s with their anthemic sound and political activism. Songs like With or Without You and Where the Streets Have No Name are rock staples, making it surprising that a music legend like Quincy Jones wasn't impressed by them. In a 2018 interview with Vulture, Quincy openly criticized several major music figures, including Michael Jackson and the Beatles. When U2 was brought up, Jones was blunt. Jones reflected on his work with Bono and Bob Geldof on Debt Relief, calling it one of the greatest things he ever did, comparable to We Are the World. But when asked if U2 was still making good music, Jones shook his head, saying he wasn't sure why but felt the band was under too much strain. So, what do you think? Were the Beatles really the worst musicians in the world?